All right, guys, welcome to the ARMR-UP striking progression. Today we're going to talk about flanking. Okay, this is a progression that is extremely important for you guys to understand how to apply to each and every scenario that you're doing. Flanking has been used since the beginning of time, since the beginning of warfare really has begun. So understanding how to do it and do it violently is going to be critical. When I talk about flanking and the flanking progression, you guys need to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, preemptively, this is what we're going to talk about today for this striking progression. Preemptively, I want to look at where I'm going to move to. So say, for instance, my family is on this side of me, and I need to be able to flank this way to keep myself in between the threat and my family. Okay, I'm not going to flank to this side and put the threat directly in front of my family. So these are all environmental things that are going to set us up for success. But if this is the case, I'm going to go off of his left shoulder, my right side. Depending on what his arms are doing is going to dictate how I respond. For this type of flanking, I want to stick with one way to do it, and we'll talk about the others in separate videos. But essentially what I'm looking at is I'm looking to trap this tricep and elbow. Okay, that's a really quick reference for me to understand where I'm moving to. That's going to be my first handle that I grab onto, wherever the handle is, to start my step and my flank and my replace. Okay, all that has to happen at once. So this isn't just like, oh, let me put my hand on his tricep. This is a grab of the tricep. If this is really a threat, that should hurt him when I go to grab that tricep. So as I go to grab, I step and I replace at the same time. That strike is going to pass off to this monkey grip. And look, I'm replacing my hand. I'm not going like this, because the second I get off of that hinge point, now he has control back of his arms and where he can move. The second that I hit here, I'm replacing with that monkey grip in the same spot that I had this hand. I want there to be zero time spent in between when I replace that, and they both should hurt. So as I step with my feet, I'm already looking to say, okay, I need to flank to that side to be able to set myself up and protect my family. So I'm going to look to here to this tricep to grab and step and start moving out of the way. Now there's a lot of follow through to this depending on what the scenario is and how they're responding, but typically that's what the flank is going to look like. Now, we can flank a threat, or we could flank somebody that's just an innocent bystander that's an unknown and they're in our way. Flanking is critical, and it's important to understand. So when I start looking at this and I hunt for that tricep, I know that I'm moving my body in the direction of where I want to go to set myself up and getting my hips where I want to go. So after I do this, if I'm just passing that person, I'm driving this other foot that was stationary through the target, through the threat. Now, if you see what I'm doing here, I'm holding his tricep still because it gives me a sense of it gives me a reference to where they are. It's a physical reference. I always talk about how combatives is made up of references. Okay, we have visual contact, we have audio contact, we have physical contact, and cognitive contact with what's going on. There's auditory, there's all those things that are going on, but here is physical. So I don't need to look at them to know where they're at in space, and I don't need to look at them to keep them from stopping to turn back in towards me. So that's the idea of this flanking progression. Start with the shadow box. Understand that I'm referencing here as I move in the direction. I replace immediately, and I pull through with this foot to start looking where I'm going. Okay, if I'm staying on him and this is the threat, I'm going to stay very close to him and not give them any space to turn back into me. So my flank's going to look like this. I'm really going to put a lot of pressure on that side to be able to make sure they can't turn through. The last part of the striking progression is setting ourselves up for success to be able to throw this dominant side strike, or whichever side is back. If I went to the other side, it'd be my left hand. Then I'm going to throw this right either in the side or the back of his head, depending on what the threat is giving me and what he's presenting. I'm going to take the closest target of opportunity. Okay, if his arms are up, I could throw a closed fist shot right here towards the spleen on that side. Okay, I'm looking to flank. Each and every time, looking to pass this off, 1, 2, and then strike here, and then move through. Okay, if this is an unknown, I'm just going to go boom, out of the way, clear him off, not let them orient back into me. Even if they were thinking about doing it, it gives them that half beat to be like, oh, it just happened. I just got flanked. Or I just got, moved aside in a weird way that was controlling because I'm keeping control of that tricep. All right, as you guys start repping this out, look, already start setting yourself up for success here. Where do I want to strike from? Boom. Do it again. Maybe I want to get rid of that guy. And then we're going to start going to the other side too. Okay, for the sake of this, I'm just going to stick to one side so you can see it. But reference the tricep, pass it off, work your feet, start looking on that last rep to throw that strike. Okay? Assess, get rid of them, and move through. Move through. And you guys are seeing me throw my hand up at the end. I'm sure you're like, what is he doing? Okay, I had to work with 300-pound football players, so understanding how to clear this off. If I'm moving in this direction, I'm passing this off, and I decide to keep moving or I really want to clean them off, central nervous system, right? Knockout button. So the second that I lose touch of this reference point, I no longer have audio control, physical control, or any type of control. So as soon as I lose that, this hand comes back up to protect my head. So I'm still clearing what's happening here. I'm going 1, 2, and then as I feel that clear, I'm rolling this back up to make sure that nothing else can come back and hit me in the head. Especially like a backhand. You know, if they're throwing this backhand at me and I miss the tricep, I'm just putting this back up to clear off and continue in that direction. Last rep, always make it your best rep. Scan, assess, and finish strong. All right, guys, that's the striking progression for ARMR-UP. See you guys in the next one.